cries during a movie.
So it's not as bad as it sounds, actually.
It is.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
I had this expectation that I put on myself to cook 3 square meals, and I'll make breakfast before 12. I'm already thinking, okay, what are we going to eat for? I felt like I was constantly cooking, and I was like, nobody informed me.
And the one thing that made it hard was...
Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Purse and I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time here, welcome. This YouTube channel is all about inspiring young Christian women to fall in love with Jesus, walk in freedom and live purposefully. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing and come along for the ride. Today I have a very special guest with us. His name is Covenant. Welcome. He's my husband and we recently clocked how many years?
3 years now.
So we've been 3 years married, and we thought that it was going to be a good idea for us to sit down and talk about experience in marriage, finance, love, long distance relationship. We dated 3 years and it was long distance, and also the first 9 months of our marriage was long distance. So we thought of talking about our experience, and we hope that this would bless everyone that listens to this and help anyone that is still on their own journey. In that sense, our start will be playing a fun game, and
I like games.
Yeah. And after we're done playing the games, we'll go into more serious questions, talking about love and all of that. So here's the game. Who is the better cook?
So didn't even bother to introduce game, how the game will go. We just got into questions. So what kind of game
so
is
the
it?
game is more like fun questions. We will both be answering, pointing to whoever is the person that fits the question.
Okay.
All right. So
it's like popular game on online that you see online. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So who is the better cook?
Better cook. Okay.
Who is more organized?
Is baking part of cooking?
Yes.
Okay.
So if baking wasn't considered, you would have said you're the better cook.
No, I'm not.
Who's more organized?
Organized. What?
Yes, the both of us.
Okay.
The both of us. Who's the most fun in the relationship?
I think we are organized in different ways, but it's okay. I give it to you then.
Who's most fun in the relationship?
Most fun. Oh yeah.
Who's the most talented?
Talented. I think talent. Yeah. It's different in that sense.
Yeah. Who's the most adventurous in the relationship?
Adventure.
I think
none of us is adventurous.
Okay.
None of us is I said. Had our first hike in the US just a couple of months ago, and we've been in the US for the past how many years now? Like 2 years together. In that sense, I've been here 3 years, and it took a lot from our friends to actually get us out to go and do the hike. So we are not adventurous at all.
And we've also been
since we've done that hike. When else have we gone?
We've been going to the parks and
we are starting to go to the parks.
Okay, let's move on. Who loves the most?
Yes.
Who gives the best massages?
Really?
Yes.
No. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Who's likely to forget an important date? Who starts a deep conversation at 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
Who forgets a date night? Nobody. I don't
think so. Any might forget.
Who cries during a movie?
So it's not as bad as it sounds, actually.
It's
not as bad as it sounds.
He's very emotional when it comes to movies that portray the life of people that are humanitarian. And
to be clear, the kind of movies that I cry to is not just any kind of movie. Humanitarian movies that has to do helping people, transforming people's life, those kind of things. Yeah.
That's what I say.
But it's not as bad. I don't cry to every movie, okay?
Well, but every emotional movie, he cries.
Okay.
So, spends more
Did I cry in Lion King? Because that was a little emotional.
That was not emotional.
It's not humanitarian. That's why.
He spends more than he sings.
Spends more than what?
Yes. Well, I would say the both of us, but we spend it differently. He spends in bulk, huge amount at once.
See, you know what we are going to do? You know what we are going to bring out our record, maybe not publicly here. We are going to go back after now and go and look at our records. Because yes, it's true. When I make I go 6 months without any major expenses.
Purchases.
But when I eventually make my purchase, it can be a lump sum of money.
Okay.
However, that little every 2 weeks, every month purchase, it adds up really, really fast.
All right, let's move on. We'll get into finance in the course of this video, so stay with us. Who planned surprise dates?
Surprise dates, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we've taken out the fun part, and hopefully you found that interesting. So we'll be going into relationship questions. I'll be asking us some relationship question, and we'll be talking about it. So how did we meet, and what was our first impression of each other?
How did we meet?
So we have two different versions. So I'll let you go first, and then I'll say mine.
So generally, I don't like talking about it. Well, I like to talk about
Okay.
it. I mean, generally, in terms of how we met, I feel like we have two different stories, and that in itself makes it somehow for me to talk about. So most of the times when our friends ask us, how did we meet? My story is completely different from yours, and I don't know. As at the time I thought I had met her, she had not yet met me apparently.
So you said your side. So my side is, let me buttress on what you said. We met on campus, undergrad. We went to the same undergrad, attended the same church undergrad, and he was an ESCO, saw him from afar. I didn't really know much about him. He claims to have met me before. That's what you say, but I don't remember. So he claimed to have met me before I actually remember meeting him. So that's the story. So the long and short of the story is that we met in undergrad. And what was your first impression?
I thought you were a snob.
So you thought I was a snob because I
like
said I didn't remember.
No, it was not remembering.
It was what?
It was actually your reaction to our interactions. The first time I actually met you was I went to visit a friend of mine in undergrad, then a lady friend of mine. She's an amazing person, by the way. And you happened to come visit person as at that particular time. And I was trying to say hello, just saying hello. And you were so quiet, not responsive. And even my second encounter with you was exactly the same thing.
But I'm quiet by nature, and until I get to know you, I might not like warm up to you. It takes me time to warm up.
That didn't mean you could not like.
But I responded. I'm sure I responded to your greeting.
Okay.
I might not just have been all over you. And that was how we met. And my first impression of you, before we started being friends, I had like a senior friend that was a mutual friend to us that used to rave about him, talk about like his awesome and his qualities and all of that. And then this other friend, the female friend you mentioned earlier, was also in my space in my final year, and the lady also talked a lot, like said good things about him. Eventually, when I thought I met him, I already had like positive. I was basically positive towards him, and my heart was opened already, like to get to know him in that sense. So, how did you know I was the one?
How I knew. So this was kind of a little long, but the short version of this was the season of my life where I was doing my master's in FUTA at that particular time in Ondo State, Akure, Nigeria. And at that period of time, I was going through a lot, trying to figure out so many things at that particular time. And I remember that we've been friends now. So at this time, we've been friends for like 2 years and a couple of months or something. And was it 2 years? We've been friends for like a year.
Maybe.
Just a year. And then I was going through a lot, and I had a presentation the next day, and you just sent a text, and you're very thoughtful. So you sent a text to me, and I got a text, and was like, the wordings of the text was exactly what I needed to lift me up and encourage me in that particular season. And I can remember that for the first time, it was like, okay, like, is actually the kind of person I want in my space or in my life in this season. Like, it was so timely in that sense. And then aside from that fact, I remember there was actually a time that before this event where I came to visit on campus, and I met you and listened to you. We had conversations. You like reading. I love reading, and we bonded a little bit over books and all of those things. So when I put all those together after this event of the text message, I was just like, what am I doing? So for the first time, I actually now took it to God, and then was like, Lord, what's going on here? What about this sister and all of that in that sense?
Yeah. I think mine happened gradually over time. Like I knew he was the one. We first became friends, and as I said, we had the same values. I wanted somebody that loved the Lord, somebody that loved the Lord, that fears God's word, respects it, and is teachable and has people over him that can call him or put him to order. I wanted somebody that loves family, wants to build a home, is serious about it. I wanted somebody that is visionary. So it fit into all of those things. And over time, I got like confirmation over time. So that's how I knew he was the one. So what has surprised you so far in marriage?
There's so many things I've actually been a surprise. I feel like marriage is roller coaster of surprises in that
Yeah.
sense. You experience new things, you get to know your partner in a new way, depending on seasons of life. But for me, my biggest surprise so far is how different we are as a man versus a woman or a guy versus a girl. There's a huge difference about how we hear things, process information, act on things, want to let things going. And that difference is actually been the most surprising thing for me since we actually got married. I think it was good to read books. I remember that then we were recommended to read The Power and Purpose of Men and Women. I read The Power and Purpose of Women. So even despite the fact that that was supposed to get me ready and prepared, to actually experience the difference between us on that level of man and woman, that's a huge surprise. It's been a surprise.
So his answer is serious. Mine is more on the playful side, and it was, I think, the first few months of marriage, I was surprised at how much I had to cook. It was shocking because it's like I had this expectation that I put on myself to cook 3 square meals, and I'll make breakfast before 12. I'm already thinking, okay, what are we going to eat for lunch? And before it's late at night, I'm thinking of dinner. So I felt like I was constantly cooking, and I was like, nobody informed me that marriage will come with all this cooking. But now I'm doing better in that aspect. I batch cook, and we don't typically like 3 square meals. So that has been really helpful. But that was like a surprise in the early days of our marriage. It was a surprise. If you were to describe me in 3 words or 1 word, what would it be?
3 words or 1 word, which do you prefer?
Anyone. If you have 3, do 3. If you have 2, do 2.
Do 2. I feel like the first word that always comes to my mind is beautiful or beauty. Obviously, I married you because I thought you were very beautiful.
Thank you.
But in addition to that, your outlook on things, you're able to spot beauty in things, beautiful spaces. So you have a very good eye for beauty or beautiful things in that sense. And your mind is beautiful. So for me, it's all round beauty in that sense. And another thing for me, in addition to that, will be, I'm really thinking right now, would be stable. Very stable. Your mind is made up in a certain way, you view things in a certain way, and you wouldn't budge for anybody or change for any reason. Like, you are just you, and nothing is changing that in that sense. So stable, and then I think you're very thoughtful. I really think deeply about matters and have deep questions to ask. And yes, I think that would be very thoughtful. That would be in my 3 words.
Thank you. For me, for you, it would be that you're priestly. I call him my priest because he has like very priestly nature, goes out of his way for people, can carry your matter on his head, and just wants everybody to be fine around him and all of that. So he's very priestly, pastoral kind of person in nature. Then he's very smart. I would say smart, my second word.
I'm smiling.
Yes, he's smart.
Okay. Sometimes I don't know if nerdy is a compliment or not.
It is a compliment. Like, loves knowledge, goes out for knowledge, and all of that. So he's very smart, and he's also a good teacher. So every time I have
teacher, like, one of it.
Maybe like you're a good teacher. Like anytime I have maybe concept I'm trying to understand, maybe in research in school, he's able to like explain to me things like that. So he's like a teacher and like breaks out down complex concepts into like bits and pieces that you can understand as a regular person. So those are my words as of now for you to describe you. So what would you say was the hardest part of long distance marriage or marriage and relationship, and how did we handle it?
Hardest part of long distance relationship and
marriage, and then how did we handle it?
Hardest part of long distance relationship and marriage.
You can start with the long relationship first.
Long distance. I don't long distance relationship was that hard. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. What I actually mean was that
you go explain, Taya. No evidence.
You go explain, Taya. No evidence. Have you get evidence?
What I actually mean was that for me, I did enjoy communication. So our communication was good. I felt like that was the foundation. That has been the foundation and the bedrock of our relationship and even our marriage now. So as long as we had communication during our relationship, it was not so difficult, even though we were a little far from each other. From time to time, we did see each other, which was not a lot of times though. But for marriage, it was hard. That one was hard. And the one thing that made it hard was sex. So we got married, and then within 3 weeks, I picked up my bag and came to the US for my graduate studies. So that was hard. That was really hard. And as believers, you've kept yourself for this very long period of time, and then you get married, and then you remove that lead and you experience it and all of that. And I know people don't talk about it and nobody expected it, but that part was really hard to deal with for 8 months or 9 months. That part was really hard to deal with. So yes, that's really one of it. Then communication made it even much more difficult because time zone difference. Right now, we see our friends in Nigeria, but friends all over the world. And most of the times, the difficult thing is communicating with them because of time zone. Literally, someone has to make the sacrifice, you or them, in that sense. So, communication was also very difficult in that season. In that sense, most of the times, it's either I call you at my night time or you call me at your night time. However, whatever way that is, somebody is losing their sleep to talk to the other person. So I wouldn't really advise long distance relationship because it's not so easy. But
So I think I agree with what he said for like when we were dating relationship wise. But for marriage, for me, intimacy, the sexual parts, and also like emotional intimacy. Because when we got married, I moved to the state where he was residing. At that point, so away from my parents, my friends. We joined the church he attends in that state. So I'm learning the people, the environment, and then after 3 weeks, he picks his back, came to the US. So it was difficult because I had to learn the environment. I had to integrate myself in the new church. Then the
gospel wasn't adjusting
there. Adjusting to the new environment, the new life, and then there's that he was ordained as a pastor. So there is that expectation of Pastor Covenant's wife in that sense. So there was also that part, the fact that maybe the people that could have been my friend at that point that I would have wanted to be friends with, I tried for some people, but I felt like I was the one trying to pull for that friendship. I felt like they gave me that Covenant's wife kind of treatment, like we are respecting her or something. That at least
and
that's
you
how I
just
felt.
wanted friends.
I just wanted friends. That I'm still
you're still new here
and all of that.
And you're still trying to figure out everything.
But I felt like that Pastor Covenant's wife already.
It was honor. We're trying to honor you.
Well, so there was that, and then the intimacy. So how do we navigate relationships with in-laws respectfully?
That's a very good one. So a relationship with in-laws, like one of the best things that have worked for us is that, by the way, we have awesome in-laws. I think I do have. I hope you think so too.
I think so
too. Why do I think? Anyway, but the thing that's worked the best for us, by the way, and we're still navigating through a lot of all these things that we are talking about. So we are not trying to look perfect.
Like we are not experts or anything.
Yeah,
we are
still
just
figuring out a lot
experience.
of things in that sense. But one of the things I feel like has really worked with us is that we try to represent each other in the best possible way with our in-laws. So way is more like if we have a decision that we make as a family, you explain to your parents, I explain to my parents, because we found out it's easier for parents to deal with their children than to deal with their in-laws.
They're keeping grudge with their child. They're able to forgive easily, but if it's the other party, they are fighting with the serious.
No, in addition to that, like you understand your parents. So you know how to talk to your parents. You know what certain words can cause, what it means. They receive things. In fact, what time do they receive things? So you know your parents better. And if you are there to represent your partner in the best possible way with your parents, just makes the whole in-law, again, it's not perfect, but it really helps a lot.
So I agree with what you said. So how did we involve God in our dating relationship?
For me, I would say involving God has to do more with your personal life. Our relationship with God individually, the quality of our relationship with God individually is. Because I feel like God has to be center of your life before you try to make him center of a relationship. So for us, I think individually, we take our relationship with God very seriously. At least I did. I know you did also. And that was the bedrock. And then in terms of putting God at the center of the relationship, once our values was based on God and scriptures, we shared those values. We found time to pray together consistently. one other thing we did is we read a lot of Christian literatures, like books, not to develop our mind
Like
and our
self-help
faith.
books.
And we read them, we discussed them. We also attended Christian conferences and programs together. In that sense, I remember like several programs and conferences in my church. You always join online. Almost everything I did in that season, we joined online to actually. So that was really central to
So
our
I
relationship
would
with
say
God.
the same thing. Developing, ensuring that you know God for yourself, you know what His purpose for your life is, and then ensuring that you are still prioritizing God even in the relationship. You are not crossing your boundaries, whatever boundaries you might have set for yourself, and all of that. So, what advice would you give to any young person contemplating marriage?
I would say stop contemplating marriage and just do it, right? My thought would be that if you are already at the place where you're already thinking about it, it's most likely because you've gotten all the important things done already. And for me, what that looks like, at least from my experience and from what I've even seen as life progress, is that there are a couple of things I think helps to get to that point of contemplation. And first is trying to find yourself first, know exactly what your purpose is, what your plans is, have figured out what you want to do, what you're passionate about, and understanding what gets you going, what are your challenges, what are your strengths, weaknesses. So the more you find yourself, the better and the easier it is to find someone. So once you have done that and then you found someone in that sense, I'll say, and then you have a means of sustenance, I'll say go ahead and do it. Like contemplation, you're just waiting for the perfect moment, and there's really no perfect moment for all these things. That's actually how our own happened, in the sense that I had figured out a lot of things, and I just still felt like I needed more perfect moments in that sense. And I remember, yes, more money, more this, more that. But I remember we had a mentor that actually we talked to together, and the person was like, "What are you both doing? Like, are you still doing?" And I says, and for the first time, we now took it to God and we prayed about it, and we realized that God was saying, "I'm sufficient. Like, I can go ahead in that sense."
Yeah, because I remember that one of the scripture God gave me personally when we were talking about marriage and talking about like finance and all of that. What the scripture God gave me is that scripture of Jesus multiplying two loaves of bread, two fishes and five loaves of bread, right? Multiplying it, and how he was able to feed thousands. In a passage it was like 5,000, and another passage I think 4,000. And for me, it was more or less God telling me to trust Him with the thing I'm considering little, that is able to multiply it. And to be sincere, over the years, I've seen God multiply our resources. I've seen God come through for us.
Did you share that scripture with me?
I think I did. Maybe you don't
because
remember.
right now is meaning so much more. Because I think about the last 3 years of our marriage, it's been like we've had just sufficient for everything we need to do. And initially, it does not look like it's enough, but it's always sufficient and more than enough for us to do all that we really need.
As far as the two parties coming together, you are sincere, you are hardworking, you have a vision, and you are not just saying the vision, you are working towards it. Because there's a different thing between somebody that is saying it and not really doing anything about it. So if both parties are sincere, God has called you to be together, your visions are aligned and all of that, you can start with what you have. I'm a proponent for that. Like, because I do not want this video to be lengthy, I want to ensure that it's something you can watch at to a certain point and learn. I'll be ending this video here, but I want you to come back for part 2 where we'll be talking about finance and what that looks like for us and things we've learned in our journey in that sense. So please do well to be on the lookout for it. If you've not subscribed, subscribe so that you can be notified when I upload that video. And let know in the comment section, are you married? How long have you been married? If you're not yet married,
I would like to meet other couples. If you've been in the US, how are you navigating the change in the environment? Being married in the US, how did it affect your marriage? Like long distance, like what was the long distance
at any point?
How did you navigate it? What was the challenging part?
And if you have any question, if there's something we said and because of the video that stood out to you, please let us know in the comment section. If there's something you disagree with, please let us know in the comment section. And if there's also questions you have that you want me to answer in other videos in the future, or video ideas you have, please do well to drop them in the comment section. Thank you for doing this with me, Treasure. I really enjoyed it. All right, till next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.